Can we create life using science, or is there a soul, Atma? That's a good question. So, people have been trying to do various chemical experiments to try and replicate the environment that was present in the very early Earth, when the Earth was very young, about 4 billion or so years ago. The Earth is about 4.5 billion years old, if I am not very mistaken, roughly that much. And the very early Earth was very different from what it is today. It was hell. We would find it hell. That's how it was. It was a very hot, dense, swirling environment. There was a lot of bombardment happening from space because of various impacts from space debris from the early solar system. The atmospheric composition was very different. The planet was very hot. The gases were different, and all that. And that is the environment in which life first emerged on our planet. So scientists, chemists, biochemists, etc., they try to replicate that environment in a test tube, and they try to create various, and they try to see if life can emerge from there. So what they find is that various uh, complex organic compounds, carbon compounds, do emerge from that. Even amino acids, etc., they do emerge from these experiments. When you take these mixture of gases and liquids, and you put them in a test tube, and you heat them to a certain temperature, or you pass electricity through them, and all that, and you keep doing that for hours or days, then you find that complex chemistry does arise out of it. And yet we have never been actually able to create life, unicellular life or anything like that, out of it thus far. So thus far, it seems that we are unable to create life out of chemicals and chemistry, and using science. Thus far, it's not been possible. Maybe it may be possible in the future. We don't know the exact origin of life on our planet. Did it actually emerge spontaneously in the primeval atmosphere and environment of our planet, or is it something that was seeded from outside, from a cometary impact? Is it some this the panspermia theory says that DNA and the seeds of life may have come from interstellar space, because we find that certain asteroids and meteors and even comets contain complex carbon compounds, organic compounds, even amino acids, etc., that are, we know, they are the building blocks of organic life. So the jury is still out there. We don't know where life came from. Thus far, we have been unable to create synthetic life forms using chemistry, biochemistry, etc. So as of today, it's not possible. In the future, we don't know. It may perhaps be possible. And now, what about the soul? Well, the soul is there is a dividing line between science and philosophy, right? Science is a subset of philosophy, but philosophy, so science is a part of philosophy, but philosophy is not a part of science, and spirituality again is not part of science. Science deals with observable phenomena and physical objects only. That is the limitation of science. It has very hard boundaries. Only physical objects, only observable phenomena. Now, the soul is not a physical object. I think everybody would agree. And it's not an observable phenomenon, right? We cannot see the soul. We can't measure it. We can't detect it. We don't know its properties. It doesn't have physical properties. It is believed to be something that transcends the physical world, right? And therefore, it is not something that science can describe or experiment or even talk about. It is something that belongs in the realm of philosophy and spirituality. I am not in any way denigrating the concept of the soul, or I am in no way trying to mock anybody who believes in the soul. I think most people on this planet believe that there are souls in human beings and other beings as well. I'm sure even lots of scientists believe it, whether they express that belief or not. But the concept of the soul is not something that's part of science, and therefore I cannot answer the question as a scientist whether there's a soul or not. As far as we know, we have never seen any experimental evidence or observational evidence of the existence of the soul, and yet one cannot rule it out, even from the perspective of science. Something that has not been observed doesn't mean it doesn't exist. The absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence, right? So the soul is something that is beyond science. Maybe in the future, someday, science may advance that much that we may actually be able to perhaps detect the soul, if it does exist or not. But as of today, I can't say. I have no evidence that the soul exists or doesn't exist, right? So that's where we are from the perspective of science today.